say, for example, like an English family, and they want English service, and then there's American service, Russian service, and it's all very different, and different cultures like to eat differently. So we train you all through that, and really kind of get you ready to basically step on board the yacht and start work, as opposed to stepping on board the yacht and then trying to be trained. Then you can kind of train yourself at home.
Yes, which will be probably too late, and that may break people if they don't train before going. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is good. So we have all the different culture background. We have the people skills. We have the hospitality skills. There are a lot more to learn. It will be better to be the right candidate. And you offer that then.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because a lot of the time as well, if you step on board a yacht, a chief stewardess is going to know that she's got to train you. But if I had somebody say to me like, oh, what do you do on the yacht? Do you do Russian service or, American? I'd be like, wow, they've gone out their way. They've learned, it's showing that initiative. And that's what our courses really help people with, is like, go and have a conversation with the chief stewardess in the interview. And trust me, you will be the only person in the interview that's bringing up things like that, which is going to make you stand out from the crowd.
This is all about etiquette and lifestyle. And is there a must-know etiquette rule in the yachting industry one should know, where you would say this is, I know you have all these rankings, it's not really Navy, but there is a hierarchy, isn't it, to follow?
Yeah, it's a very hierarchy-driven industry.
Are there more to share? Like, apart from the ranking, what else are the must-know etiquette rules?
There's a lot of etiquette because you are living, breathing, sleeping, everything. You're in such close proximity to all your crewmates, and you live in such small quarters. So there's definitely etiquette, like in the morning you wake up, you put your duvet down properly, you make your bed, you wipe down the bathroom, after you've used it. You don't leave your, at home, like if I want to like eat something and then just go and pop my dishes in the kitchen, it's only me and, my fiance that have to deal with it.
Yes.
On a yacht, if somebody comes in and there's dishes in the sink, that is really bad etiquette, because everyone has to live in these tiny quarters together.
Yes.
So you have to be really respectful of your crewmates.
Yes, wonderful you mentioned that.
But I do get up in the morning with a drive and a determination to try to do the right thing for a very large group of people. And if it works out, it leads to a lot of positive outcomes. It leads to wealth. It leads to great social connections. It leads to great friendships, and it leads to closer family relationships. So,
right.
But here's the thing. We're always searching for perfection. This internet, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, has put a lot of pressure on people. And so I tell my kids, relax, the person's taking the perfect picture of themselves with the light a certain way, and and I get that, but everybody has strengths and weaknesses and ups and downs in their life. But the internet is definitely putting a lot of pressure on people. And we all have certain parts of our lives that are axiomatic to the human condition. That is our birth, our rite of passage, and our eventual death.
Beautiful.
And nobody can escape that.
We are coming now to communication skills, interpersonal skills. We humans are hardwired for communication. And you, as an eloquent communicator and international speaker, we'll see how far you go, but it would be nice if you could share with us whether you were in a situation in your life where you have the feeling you missed an opportunity because of lack of self-management to communicate effectively, or where you thought you didn't use actually what you master very well, I think, bringing your message effectively and persuasively across. Were you in such a situation where you think, because I missed this through...
Well, I mean, Juliana, there's probably hundreds of those situations for me.
Yes.
You know, I would say, obviously, I made a mistake in the White House where I trusted a reporter. I was saying something to him off the cuff in a very locker room-like way. You know, I never blamed anybody for my firing from the White House. I made a mistake. The mistake was fireable. I'm accountable for that mistake. There was never any problem with me feeling that somebody did me wrong. I did myself wrong by making that mistake.
That's interesting. That's interesting. You just mentioned you make yourself accountable on that in terms of communication. And I think Aristotle, one of my famous philosophers, said that once. So the communicator, the speaker, is accountable for what he's saying, and he's bringing the message to the audience. So you have the responsibility, actually, the way you bring the message to the audience, and you have to hold it also accountable. And you just mentioned that. That's actually very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say to you, and I firmly believe this, that because you're talking about communication.
Yes.
I think the number one thing that we all need to think about is authenticity.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the camera knows, Juliana. The people know. When you look into the camera,
Yes.
and you're expressing yourself, people know right away if you're spinning them, if you're homogenizing your language, if you're trying to say something to them where you're not really speaking truthfully.
Yes.
The camera knows when you're saying something with sincerity. It knows when you're saying something that's heartfelt.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things that people do in communication that is successful is expressing vulnerability, because the minute that you express some level of vulnerability or fallibility, the receiver of those communiques is like, okay, this person is acknowledging their human weaknesses as well as whatever their strengths are. And so what happens is your message is more resonating, I believe. I think that
I believe that too, because you also create emotional connection.
Correct.
Which you just said, it makes you human.
Makes you human.
Yes.
And also I think people will then also, they empathize with you and they say, okay, this guy is not coming at me. I mean, yourself, myself, others. I could give you my resume and I could read my resume to you. It sounds pretty good. And I could start handling myself in a certain way where you think that I am arrogant, supercilious, and full of myself, okay? Or I can express my resume to you with the reality of my resume, that I've been fired more than once, that I've had setbacks in my career, I've had setbacks in my financial career, I've had setbacks. You mentioned the fact that I produced some movies. Some of them did very well, some of them did not do well. I've had setbacks in my family relationships. And all of a sudden you see this whole mosaic, you see this whole picture, and you recognize that, okay, I'm just another person out there trying super hard, got a lot of industry and energy and enthusiasm for life, but I may not be getting everything right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big lesson in communication. At the end of the day, the people that are more psychologically minded and are more self-aware are able to connect with a broader group of people. And when you talk about be able to connect across cultures, I'll tell you a quick funny story. Okay, and I think you'll get this. So I'm in Singapore. It is the first SALT conference. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. We have the Deputy Prime Minister. He's going to come in and speak at 10. We've got a beautiful event coming. We've got Tony Blair coming, the former Prime Minister of
UK.
We have UK. We have Timothy Geithner, who was the former Secretary of Treasury of the United States. We've got a whole host of different luminaries coming. And my staff, two of them, which had lived in Singapore for about 3 months planning the event. I've arrived in Singapore a week early to get myself rested and, on the time schedule.
In the time zone,
and they sat me down and they said to me, well, this is Singapore and there's a certain protocol and there's a certain respect you have to show, and you can't say it this way and you can't say it that way, and you have to say it this way, and they're giving you this whole list of things to do. And so I got the list and I got up to the microphone, and I literally, Juliana, I sounded like a robot. And I got off the stage and I turned to my team. I said, I'm not doing this. This is not me.
Exactly. You weren't yourself.
And I said, trust me. The Singaporeans, they know I'm an American. They also know I'm an Italian American from Long Island. They don't expect me to act like Lee Kuan Yew when I show up here on the stage. I'm going to be myself.
Yes.
And if people like it, that's great.
Interesting.
And if they don't like it, then we're leaving. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so the next time I got on the stage, I literally said that. Got up there, I said, look, I got this whole list of things from my team. They told me I had to act a certain way. I'm here in Singapore. I got news for you. I can't do it. Okay? Everyone started laughing.
Because you won't be authentic. Yes.
Yes, correct. Having said that, if I grew up in Singapore and I was part of the citizenry of Singapore and I had those cultural norms, then me acting like an Italian from Long Island would have been out of character. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so my point is just relax and be yourself.
Be yourself.
I think people want authenticity more than they want what you think that they want. Does that make any sense?
Yes. I'm
always trying to find a moment of connectivity. Yes. So if I'm in Singapore, I want to let people know that I appreciate the origination of the city, and I appreciate what Lee Kuan Yew did to build the city, and I appreciate the culture of Singapore. If I'm in Beijing, I would also want to relate to people that, yes, I'm not just here as an ignoramus. I've actually done some homework in the situation. And so I think, there's an axiom that is cross-cultural, and that is when you show an interest in someone and you show an interest in their origin and you show an interest in who they are, what happens is you can build a nice relationship. Before I spoke to you today, my family is from a small town in the Perugia region of Italy. Yes. It's called Gualdo de Torino. And before I spoke to you today, the mayor of Gualdo de Torino contacted my office, and he wanted to speak to me by Zoom, and he had a translator. And so I got on the phone with him, and he proceeded to tell me that, my grandfather, Alessandro Scaramucci, and my grandmother, Celestina, were born in that town, and they wanted to make me an honorary citizen. Oh. And we got into a conversation about the town, and we got into a conversation about my heritage as an Italian, now an Italian American. Yes. And, I think there's a connection. And I'm able to talk to him about my heritage as an Italian, and he's obviously the mayor of that town. Yes. All of a sudden, we're making that connection. You're talking about Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew once said something about America that I'll share with you. He was being interviewed by Graham Allison, the dean of the Kennedy School of Government, and he said that America has an interesting dynamic because it is a resilient country, but it's also a cross-cultural country where you could leave India and you could become an Indian American. You could leave Italy and become an Italian American. You can become a Chinese American. And you can do that, and you can create that assimilation for your family over a period of time, and everybody's American. However, other countries, it's harder to do. I can't leave America and go to China and be a Chinese citizen and an American Chinese or an Italian Chinese. I could be an expat there. Yes. But I really can't be fully assimilated into that cross-cultural melting pot.
Yes, correct.
And so what Mr. Lee said, which I think is very visionary, is that America therefore can draw on the other 7+ billion people as a resource. of course, it has to think about its immigration policies appropriately to do that. But my point being that, it's a great understanding of America. And so I'm absolutely certain that Mr. Lee, when he was meeting with American leaders, they were impressed with his understanding of our country.
Yes.
I just think that you have to think like that. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the other person, or whoever it is you're talking with, and you have to let them know that you care about them and that you're intellectually curious about their lives and their country and the things that they're doing. What is preventing them from being able to communicate? And so typically, not to overgeneralize, but typically it is about self-consciousness.
Yes.
So what ends up happening is when you're speaking in public, or you're speaking to a group, or speaking to a new group, you're worried that you're going to be judged by the people that you're speaking to. And so what happens is, the reason why public speaking, people say that it's up there sometimes with death in terms of fear, is that the judgment. I'm going to go up there, I'm going to sneeze, there's going to be a booger that flies out of my nose, I'm going to say something wrong that's going to be embarrassing. This is being recorded, and so therefore it's there for posterity, and oh my God. Or when you're looking down the barrel of a television camera, you're like, oh my God, there's 5 million people listening to me, and oh my God, I'm going to say something stupid in this situation.
Correct.
And so again, it goes back to the early part of this conversation about forcing yourself out of your comfort zone. And it's about forcing yourself to be willing to embrace and make mistakes. Now, I have made gaffes, and obviously I've done things regrettable. And I've said things to people privately that I thought were private that ended up being recorded. And so I've had a slate of ups and downs in my career. And I think if you get to the point where you actually don't care, you're in a much better place. And so I don't know how to convince somebody of that. But I can tell you something that I told my daughter, who's now 25, but when she was 12 years old, I put her at a baseball stadium in New York to sing God Bless America. And she was a solo singer in front of 53,000 people. And she's got a beautiful singing voice. She's now in the entertainment industry today at age 25. But there she was at age 12. And she was like, Dad, I am so scared. There's 53,000 people that I'm going to be singing live in front of. And what I said to her, I'll share with you. What I said, Juliana, is, well, okay, I want you to imagine having a conversation with one person or singing for one person. Are you comfortable doing that?
That's great. Yes.
She said yes. And I said, well, and then if each one of those 53,000 people were in a room one at a time with you, would you be comfortable with them? Yes, I would. Okay, well then think about it that way. Why is it that you could be comfortable with each of those people, but yet when you see 53,000 of them, you're not comfortable? It has to do with the way you're thinking about the thing in your mindset. Change your mindset. Recognize that you're now singing for one person 53,000 times, or you're talking to one person 53,000 times. And if you can start to think like that, you can remove stage fright, you can remove anxiety from communication. Because most people, no matter how shy they are or how self-conscious they are, they can have a conversation with a friend of theirs. To your point, we are social people. And so therefore, start thinking about it that way and start recognizing how much in common we all have with each other. And then all of a sudden your inhibitions about it will start to fall away and you'll feel comfortable talking.
Beautiful. I love that. You are such a great analyst, incredible, and not only business and political analyst. I personally feel you are such a great analyst in human behavior. And that's why I actually love talking to you about all these interpersonal skills, to let others see this other side of yours and the experience you have and all the setbacks you've gone through, and that you're not only, the financier or the hedge fund or that political figure, it's incredible. I love that. Really, you have such
Well, it's very sweet. It's very nice of you, Juliana.
great
Thank you.
human behavior, the way you analyze that, and with the examples you bring forward for people to really understand when they have a story. It's easier to remember, and hopefully something they can practice, what is holding you back, and have the self-consciousness. Or imagine you are singing to one person, and these are 50,000. Just imagine it's one person. Which role did all these values, aspects of soft skills play in your decision making? How did soft skills, all these aspects, help you to encounter people, and also in your decision making?
I think the most important soft skill, well, I think it's a super important skill, is to show respect.
Yes.
Respect is the most important for me. It's no matter what kind of position this person has you or me. I met so many people, for example, also in animal welfare, that I visited in Russia or in Ukraine. They live under really poor circumstances with minus 36 degrees and sharing the last food they had, the soup with a spoon with their dogs. These are heroes for me, and these are people I'm paying the highest respect. Yes. And so showing respect and recognition to people for their job or what they achieved is the key for me. And this is very important. And so I think if you start a conversation or a meeting with calling somebody by its name, for example, this is the point, the correct name.
Yes, mention it.
And respect maybe the difference in the cultural that we have. Like we started our discussion that in America you just say with your name, hi Michael, hi Julie, hi this, hi this. Yeah. But in other cultures this may be not as common, like in Europe or in Asia or in other countries. Important to me personally is to be loyal.
Yes.
Loyalty, that is something that I absolutely put really high attention on it. That's super important for me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for mentioning that and making it clear again. Respect. And the name is the identity of a person. At least take the time to say the name.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
in the world of fashion, soft skills are very important, okay? Because it's fashion, it's of course it's a business, it's numbers, okay? But since I am in the side of the Jmamoni, I have seen with Versace and other companies all the creative part, and then I have seen with companies like in Spain also the business part. With our school here in Milan, we are specialized more in the creative. Yes. That means in the soft skills, okay? That means in the selection of fabrics, have the taste to combine fabrics, be fashion conscious, okay? Be able to catch the trends, and these are all soft skills, yes. That you can learn with us, because it's also in this you need a certain training, and this is my mission here in Italy with Milan Fashion Campus, because we try to teach these skills,
having the awareness. Yes. Awareness. Yeah.
Yes, awareness. In fact, and also in this moment, also with the online classes, online courses. Not only physically here, exactly. And so soft skills are very important, okay, because it's about the sensibility of I tell you, of combination of fabrics, of colors. Here, one of the most important courses here in Italy is about fashion styling, okay. Coordination of items, understand the skin color, the body shape, understand the new trends, and how to renew a wardrobe. This is the top course that is working very well, because fashion is global, you know,
Yes.
and people love fashion from everywhere, and so they like to learn the Italian way of fashion.
Correct. You said, you know, soft skills are today's hard skills. And there are people hopefully realizing that now. And etiquette is literally advanced soft skills. It has so many attributes of soft skills, and it's beautiful that you put it that way. That's great.
When you say the word etiquette, oftentimes it conjures up different, I don't know, it's stuffiness or pretentiousness.
Yes,
and etiquette
exactly.
is not, and etiquette is not that. In fact, etiquette is just the opposite of that. But I have had clients tell me, let's not call it an etiquette seminar because of that word. So
they are so vital that I would like to found a movement to stop calling them soft skills.
Yes.
Because it feels like that's put aside as what the girls do, and the finance and the marketing and everything else in business and cutthroat competitiveness and so on. That's really important. The soft skills help. The reality is what we think or what are termed soft skills are the most desired achievements when it comes to business hiring. They are in the top 5: presenting, interpersonal, critical thinking, ethics. There's one more. Those are the top 5. The skills that you can learn in a classroom or through experience in the work world are things that are easily taught. Soft skills are the hardest thing because they involve your own identity. And that's why they're so frightening for so many people. That's why, in this country at least, public speaking is number 3 on the horror scale after snakes and spiders. You know, people are so afraid to get up in front of other people or to raise their hand in a meeting, lest they be judged, lest they make a mistake. And depending on how you were brought up and your own level of self-confidence, it's a very difficult thing. So I wish, Juliana, you could think of another name, and I will help spread it for soft skills, because they are the bedrock of how we are in the world. So I find it very important. When I was in politics, I learned patience. When I was a journalist, my quickness and sharpness was seen as a benefit. It would scare wrongdoers. I could get a good story. When I was a politician, I was chair of the county board, and I was not elected by the people. I was elected by my colleagues of different parties. So learning how to set expectations for everyone, regardless of who they were, being compassionate, letting people speak, but not blather, knowing when to cut them off. Those were all the most valuable skills I learned as a politician. Not how to manage a budget, which I also knew how to do, you know, not how to do other things, but that aspect. So I have been so fortunate in being able to have a career in academia that lets me deal specifically with those issues. I'm very fortunate.
Thank you so much. Amen, amen, amen to what you just said about soft skills. I am so grateful you mentioned that, because this part is so important, and we will use that too in the workshops. And you really mentioned something so true about the word. We should find something else to describe these skills, today's hard skills. Soft.